Now, if you've clicked on this video, you're probably in one of three positions. You've either just watched your first few anime and you're wanting to branch into manga, see what the source material looks like, or maybe check out a manga that's not had a great anime adaptation or not received one at all. Or maybe you're in the second position. You've watched a lot of anime, you've read a lot of manga, and you're looking for new recommendations. Or maybe you're in the third position. You're one of my friends and I've forced you to watch this video. Now, if you're in the first two positions, this video is probably for you. There are of course hallmarks in the world of manga, like there are in anime. For example, with anime, it's probably Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, One Piece, Gintama. With manga, it's Berserk, Vagabond, JoJo Part 7 Stillball Run, my personal favourite. But I think when giving recommendations, it's probably best to give ones that are shorter than 200 chapters. And I feel like if you read Berserk as your first manga, you're either going to have an incredibly high expectation for everything else that is to come, or just be scarred for life within the first 3 chapters of the manga.
Number 12, Cock.
Now, as mentioned before, manga can often be better than anime adaptations. I know one widely reported one is Tokyo Ghoul. If you read the source material, it's so much better than the anime, and I would say if you've only watched the anime, get reading the manga, because it's basically like watching a different show. That's not to say that the anime isn't enjoyable. I think it's worth a watch, but it's just too different to be enjoyable in my opinion. So I've picked 2 recommendations, as seems to be the trend with these videos on this channel, which I would recommend to you, and I would say they're worth taking the time to get through. The first manga is Claymore. Now, I know one specific viewer is going to be cheering because my friend recommended this to me a million times. I got about a third of the way through it, I couldn't be asked to read it anymore. He hounded me on the daily to carry on, and do you know what? I'm glad I did. I'm glad he was there to push me through what at a certain point in the manga felt a bit sluggy. The general plot of Claymore is, humankind, if you can call them that, versus the Yoma, which are these weird alien looking things, wouldn't look out of place in an alien movie really. And the only thing that can sort of beat these Yoma are these scientifically enhanced women who are also half Yoma. You know what they say, if you can't beat them, join them. And they are called Claymores, like the title, and they also carry claymores like the sword, which was incredibly great wordplay. But as it would be with a shonen anime and a shonen manga in this case, all is not what it seems, and that's what makes the story a bit more interesting. It has everything a good shonen manga needs. You've got the power-ups, think Super Saiyan Gold, but with a woman with a sword. You've got a time skip, which instantly makes any manga or anime 10 times better when you get to see the characters grow a little, both physically and mentally. And a likeable cast. I really like Claire. I really like the rest of the Claymores. And to be fair, I like some of the Yoma. A lot of them have decent reasons for doing what they've done. It's one of those where you're sort of sympathising with the villain and wondering whether you're a horrible person or something. And speaking about Claire, she's probably one of the most badass MCs I've seen in a shonen manga. She has some really cool abilities and special moves, and just the whole sort of power system and how it works with the Yoma is really interesting, and that's something I'd recommend looking into maybe after or whilst you're reading the manga, if you want to spoil yourself like I did. Another thing that's great about Claymore is it takes heavy inspiration from Berserk. Now, I would say Berserk is my favourite manga of all time, and if there is a shonen manga that takes inspiration from it, then I'm going to love it. And I think you can definitely see the inspiration with the artwork and the fighting and things like that. And one thing I will say about Claymore is I'm very surprised it is a shonen, because the amount of violence and gruesomeness I thought would have, delegated it towards the seinen genre, but apparently this is suitable for 14-year-olds. You'll have to be the judge of that. Unfortunately, I can't do it justice and how good this manga is in such a short time, so all I can really say is read it. I'm not going to say it anymore, but really do read it. I will say though, it definitely starts a bit slow in my opinion. Others don't have that problem. Maybe it's just me. I'd say around... It's good, don't get me wrong. It's really good for the first 60 chapters. It's a definite 7 out of 10, but I feel it really picks up after that. It gets a lot better. I think it's maybe just a slow start in comparison to what you get later on, because they couldn't be asked to animate the rest, I assume, or it wasn't popular enough. I would not recommend watching the anime unless you've read the manga first, because I feel like it would probably taint your view of Claymore. So the second manga I'd like to recommend, it's very light, easy read. It's called One Piece, you might have heard of it. No, I'm joking, of course. The second manga I would like to recommend is Blue Box. Now, I wouldn't usually recommend an ongoing manga because I feel like I could say all these really good things about it and then in 3 weeks worth of releases it could tank. But I'm going to take the risk this one time because I enjoy it so much. The general plot is this guy called Taiki, I think I'm saying that right, likes this girl called Chinatsu. But she's this really popular basketball player and he is this boring virgin that would never have a chance, but she lives with him, ? So in order to sort of impress her, he joins badminton and goes on this, journey of self-reflection and suddenly becomes really good at badminton and wants to reach nationals, which is a thing. In my opinion, it's like the perfect mix of two genres I love in anime, romance and sport. The plot lines aren't exactly boring, like sometimes you'll get like a triangle or he'll get a bit jealous, or the badminton part of the manga picks up. And it's probably the best I've ever seen badminton done in manga. But, that's based on a very small sample size. I've probably only seen it done in about 4 or 5. But out of those 4 or 5, it's done really, really well. It's yet to receive an adaptation, so I can't shit on the potential anime adaptation yet. But I have a feeling they'd probably do it well if it's picked up by the right studio. But we're not here to talk about the anime. We're here to talk about the manga. The story also feels like it's very close to the end. Like, I can't see it having much more than maybe like 30 or 40 chapters unless it's dragged on by some random plot point. So that's another reason why I thought it'd be a good recommendation, because say you complete it all, you've probably only got like half a year to a year's left worth of content to come from it, which is unfortunate because, like I say, I'm really enjoying it and I'm really enjoying where it's going. But the worst thing you can do, I feel, with a manga and an anime is just drag it on for longer than it needs to be. So realistically, I would say that both of these mangas are definitely worth reading. I would say Claymore is the better of the two, but that's only because Blue Box isn't finished yet, and I just want to cover my back in case Blue Box falls off a cliff and then no one can say that I said it was better. But Claymore is genuinely a really good manga with a great story. And I believe if you want to sort of get into manga, these two would be the perfect places to start. If you have enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more slop content, whilst I figure out what I want to do on the main channel. I have a few ideas, but they're not finalised yet. And I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.